Hello book lovers, we're going to do a review today. I want a lot more reviews on my channel. That was one of the things that I love about BookTube is the reviews on different books. So coming to you today from the living room because we got a new kitty and he's a little bit obnoxious, especially when he first wakes up and loves attention and meows, meows, meows. So in an effort to not have to edit out 500 meows, we're coming to you from the living room where the fish tanks are. So there is fish tank noise in the background. I apologize, but it's better than 500 meow. It is the month of October, and that of course means that we are all reading some scary books, and I love scary books. And I have 4 that I've read so far. I don't want to wait too much time and not be able to give a good narrative on what I really thought about the book. So I'm going to try and do 3 or 4 at a time. And so today we have 2 physical books. We're going to do Peter James' The House on Cold Hill and by Ed Kurtz. I listened to 2 Audible books, Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman and The Shining by Stephen King. So all 4 of these books were centered around, scariness and chosen for their scariness for the month of October on purpose. So let's see how they stack up. The first one we're going to do is Bleed by Ed Kurtz. This book was released in 2012. It's a horror fiction. I got it by the way of Nocturnal Reader's Box. It was one of the books that I've gotten through that subscription box that I subscribe to. That sounds weird, but that's where I got it from. The author, this is the first time I've read anything by Ed Kurtz, although I did add Control to my TBR. That looked like something I would be interested in. He writes in different genres, but that one, not all to my liking. Some are just not things I would be interested in. But Control looked like it would be good, so I added that one to my Goodreads TBR. This book it centers around Walt, an English teacher. He buys a house and is ready to start a life with his girlfriend. But a little spot on the ceiling in the hallway turns into something more. The spot grows and Walt begins to feed it. I believe he started with blood and then moves up to small animals and so forth. The more he feeds it, the more it becomes human, which is incredibly bizarre. And it even becomes vocal, which is intriguing. He becomes attached to this thing in the ceiling, and won't take that part any further because it just it's bizarre. So Walt is an interesting character. He changes through the book and becomes a different person as the situation changes, but not like an internal personal struggle. It's more like he's put under a spell and he's not the same person he was at the beginning of the book. About 290 pages, so less than 300, but there's a lot going on in each chapter, and didn't find it to be boring in the least. It kept my attention very easily. I was excited to continue reading it. The author definitely gets points for originality. I mean, you gotta read that because who'd have thunk? It was definitely out there. An interesting ending. It's not quite an explanation, but more like a reasoning for everything that happens. So my like for this book is that it's bizarre. My dislike for this book, I guess, would be its bizarreness. It's a good, but it's a bad thing. It was definitely nothing never read anything like that before. So it's worth a read. It's definitely one for the books. So the next physical book we have is The House on Cold Hill by Peter James. It is a singular novel. It's not part of a series, although that would have maybe made it better. This was released in 2015. It is a mystery thriller-ish novel. This book was just a shot in the dark. I bought it on Book Outlet. The synopsis sounded good. So, and Peter James's name sounded familiar. So this is the first book I've ever read by him, but he is an international bestseller and has more than 35 books published. He has a nice lengthy series of books, but then he also has some singular books as well, this being one of them. It's about a family that decides to fulfill their lifelong dream of moving into a very large rundown mansion to, fix it up and make it really nice and spend the rest of their lives there. So it's a costly endeavor because there is so much work that needs to be done to the house, and their luck just keeps getting worse and worse as the days go by. A few spooky events happen, but it's nothing too sinister, and save for a few mysterious messages and coincidental deaths of just about everybody they contact in the house, it almost doesn't have that much going on. The characters aren't too memorable. There's nothing too special about the family. It is a little over 300 pages. But the pacing was very slow. I'm glad I finished it, but it took a little bit of effort. The whole book, it feels like it's leading up to something, which is the very last page. So I feel like we're just going, trying to get to that very last page. At the end, you do feel like it's completed. At least you got, some sort of ending that makes it worthwhile. His writing style is very nice. It's not hard to read. It was just a bit uninteresting. I desperately wanted to finish it, though, and had a very long road to get there, but I did it, and I'm glad I did. I just would never reread it. Actually, I don't think I liked the book until the very last page. A couple of people had seen me reading it as I was reading it and asked me if it'd be something that would be good to read, and I refused to give anybody an answer until I finished because I really didn't like it and I couldn't find anything that I loved about it, yet I knew I wanted to continue reading it, so I'm just like, wait, let me see what it, how I really feel about it. So, yeah, you should read it, but, maybe not. I don't know. It's interesting. This is a hard one. I liked the ending, but to get there it was a struggle. So, my like for this book is the final page. It made me smile. I'm not sure why. Ugh, low blood sugar. My dislike is it's a little bit mundane. Well written, but long-winded. So, I don't know that I'll try any of his other books unless somebody has one that was amazing and they really do think I need to give it another shot, or, anybody. Let me know if Peter James does something else a little bit better, because this was not one of my favorites. Alright, had a snack and got some coffee. This is my Halloween mug that I got off of Amazon. A wee bit wicked. So, okay, next two books were from Audible. Right before my Audible credits renewed, I had gotten Dr. Sleep via my Thrill Club box. So when my Audible credits came in, I was like, yay, I'm going to listen to The Shining. That way I have something extra spooky to listen to in October, because what better time to listen to The Shining than in October. This book came out in 1977 and the movie came out in 1980. It is a horror and or psychological horror, I would think. This is the third book that he had written. It was influenced by his personal experiences, the book forming to fruition after a trip with his wife to the Stanley Hotel in Boulder, Colorado. They were the last guests there for the season, so the hotel was empty, very similar to how it is throughout the winter in The Shining, and he had a nightmare about the fire hose. We got a visitor, so everybody, this is Ransom. Ransom, meet YouTube. Look, it's YouTube. You're gonna be famous. I know you're hungry, aren't you? You want me to feed you. Oh, you're always so hungry when you wake up. You're so cute, but oh, he's local. It makes me want to go do that and stay in a hotel that's haunted. So I feel like the plot really doesn't need too much introduction. It centers around Jack Torrance and his family. He's an aspiring writer. He agrees to take a job at a Colorado hotel, the Overlook. Ah, what? All right, somebody needs to be fed. We'll be back. So maybe we can get this done in the time it takes him to eat food. So let's see. Okay, so aspiring writer agrees to take a job at a Colorado hotel to take care of it for the winter while it's closed, the Overlook. His son has The Shining, hence the name of the book, and the hotel can't help but want that special talent that his son has. So the movie was phenomenal and gave such a rich atmosphere for the book to take place in my head. So that just enhances the characters so much. Jack Torrance is absolutely mad, and he reflects that with every phrase and thought that goes through his head. It reminds me a bit of Cujo, where his thoughts are crazy, almost like he's gone rabid. Like, it just, how could you go from being such a normal person to so absolutely crazy so quickly? So the pacing is a little bit slow, but it's a classic read, and I really didn't mind because I wanted to enjoy it. It's not the new hot action-packed thriller trying to be the new best thing. It's like a deep-in-your-bones chill, like stick-to-your-ribs kind of oatmeal story that you never forget. It's like he's trying to make it lay dormant in your brain until the next time you find yourself in a hotel hallway, midwinter, and ancient elevators creaking in the background. So it, am I the only person that hopes that shit happens to me? I'm terrible. This is terrible. The man's got passion. He blows my mind. I love his books. The ending is different from the movie. In the movie, we all know that he freezes in the maze, and that is not how the ending happens, although Danny and the mom do get away. My like for this book is that I now have a renewed obsession to be an author. Also, I really love that very few movies are better than the books. I am a huge book lover, so I always think that the book is better than the movies, but this one, I feel like they really worked together. I feel like having seen the movie already is exactly what I needed to have Jack Nicholson to refer to as I was reading the book, to assist with my own imagining. It lends so much to the creepy factor, having that prior knowledge of what these things could look like, and them having done such a wonderful job in the movie portraying what Stephen King was going for. So that is definitely wonderful. My dislike is I now have an obsession with moving to Colorado, and I hate the cold. I hate the snow. So, but I want to be snowed in a scary hotel. He was snapping, my baby. So, of course, Stephen King always gets 2 thumbs up. This one being, I think, my favorite Stephen King book that I've read so far. It was wonderful. Definitely worth the read. The second Audible book I listened to this month was Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. I love witches around Halloween. Practical Magic I could watch all year long, but I had never read the book. So actually I didn't even know it was a book till I think I saw it for sale somewhere recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know it's a book. So when my Audible credits came up, I chose that one. It is fiction. It came out in 1995. The movie came out, I think, 3 years later, around 98. Um, and you can hear my dog snoring, the bulldog snoring in the background. I might even light up the sound so you can hear it. Too funny. So, of course, I found this book because of the movie. This is the first novel that I've ever read by Alice Hoffman, but I did admire her writing style. It was very open and easy to get through, so I am definitely, I would like to try another one of her books. I had paged through a couple of them on Goodreads, and it looks like the Museum of Extraordinary Things would be a good one for me. So if anybody has any suggestions on good books that she has, because I seem to really like her writing. The plot, again, I don't feel like I need to stress too much because there is a very famous movie about it. It's a little less eventful than the movie, though. It's the same sisters, Sally and Jillian, but in this one they grow up and move away from the aunts and the aunts' witchy reputation. So there's also, I hate to spoil it, but there's no curse. No Owen's women curse, although Michael does still pass away, leaving Sally with the two girls. One of the differences I could not stand was that the two girls their names were switched around. So I kept picturing the wrong child whenever she would say their name. Because I've seen the movie 500 times. How are you not going to picture the person when you've actually seen the movie first? So that really messed me up. But it is similar in that Jilly also does accidentally kill Jemmy, but there's very little magic. Neither of the sisters practiced witchcraft like there was in the movie. And he does haunt them, but there's no extermination via the coven, and it's not as magical as they definitely made it out to be in the movie. It's a lovely book. It's just not entertaining as the movie was. The characters are similar but different. Jillian, I liked that she was less flighty in the book, and she also had a nice romance in her storyline. So I liked that both of the women ended up with nice love relationships at the end. That was pretty nice. The aunts, though, were nowhere near as awesome as they were in the book. In this one, they were so standoffish, and they don't really play the part of, the creepy old witches as well as they did in the movies. So the pacing, because it doesn't have as much going on as it did in the movies, is a little slow. It's not as exciting, and it made it to where, yes, the end game was the same, so it did make a little bit of sense because it did follow some of the same situations with Jillian having accidentally killed Jimmy and what they have to do with that, but it's nowhere near the same as the movie. So I did like Alice Hoffman's clarity in her writing style. It was very nice. I would be interested in reading another book of hers just because it was easy to read her books. So I liked how it was written. My like for this book is that it's a lovely story. I was glad to have read it. It was worth the read. It just don't go in expecting it to be the same as the movie, because it's not going to be the same. It is its own entity, and for that, it can be appreciated, but it's not the same exact situation as the movie is. My dislike for this book would be that this might be the only movie ever that I say is better than the book. The movie is better than the book. You caught me on tape saying that. There is no Midnight Margaritas. There's no childhood spell for Hallett having one green eye and one blue. It's missing so many super special aspects of the movie. And Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman did such wonderful jobs that they made it better. So they did such a great job on the script and adding very interesting things to the movie. I like this Alice Hoffman book, but I like the movie better. So there, I said it. That's my one pass, right? I get one pass in life to say that the movie's better than the book. Does anybody else have one that you think is better than the book, what else could possibly be better than a book? It's never, ever, ever worked out that way in my life. So I was surprised, and I think it was just because it was so different. So I tried to look at it as a separate thing, just to justify it and give her, because she works hard. Authors work hard on these books, so I don't want to discount it just because somebody else made something wonderful out of her wonderful idea. It's never should be discounted. Hopefully, I will read 2 more books before Halloween. I want to read The Wicked by James Newman, and I have the Howling Trilogy by Gary Brander to read. We still have about 10 days left in the month, and I do have the day after Halloween off, so I can stay up late, and maybe that's when I'll record my final book review for the month. Those are the 4 nice spooky books that I've read so far for the month of October. Again, one more time: Bleed, The House on Cold Hill, Practical Magic, and The Shining, which now I can read Dr. Sleep, so I'm glad that I have that under my belt. So everybody, I hope you have a wonderful Halloween. I hope it's spooktacular. And let me know what you've been reading this month. I would love to know, because I need some more scary ones. None of these were nearly as scary as I was hoping. The Shining, I think, gave me the most chills. Bleed was a little scary. Practical Magic was so not scary. There was no magic. And The House on Cold Hill was really not scary either. So I need to up my ante next year. I need to choose some really good ones. I'm sure Nocturnal Reader's Box is going to help me out with that this year. I have a lot of good books from them. Spooky readings. Peace.